to today's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast, your channel for super easy, no-nonsense advice on how to declutter and organise your home. Please welcome your hosts, professional organisers Ingrid Jansen and Lesley Spellman.
Hello and welcome, listeners, to episode 25 of the Declutter Hub podcast. I'm Ingrid.
And I'm Lesley.
If you have clutter and want to sort it out, this is the show for you. In today's episode, Lesley and I are talking about how you can beautifully organize your wardrobe. In previous podcasts, we've spoken about the psychology behind clothes and what you need to know how to declutter your wardrobe. And today's episode is all about the final steps, and that is how you can now beautifully organize your wardrobe. So this is like the nice fancy part, isn't it really, Lesley?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, let's face it, there are beautiful aspirational wardrobes out there that we can look at and wish that we had. But a lot of us just don't have a Kim Kardashian style wardrobe space, sadly. So we have to make sure we work with the space that we've got.
Yes, our aim, I think that's really important to point out to our listeners. Our aim is not to have a Pinterest-worthy wardrobe that can be put in a magazine. We want it to look nice. We want it to look good. It needs to be organized. And we're going to talk today all about the steps and things you need to think about when you organize. But this is not about perfection. This is being able to find your clothes where you need them and being happy with what's in your wardrobe, and you can find it. So let's talk through it then.
Talking about that kind of Pinterest, Instagram-worthy wardrobe, I think there is one thing that can really, really help achieve something like that. I mean, let's face it, if we could get an Instagram-worthy wardrobe at the end of this podcast, that would be desirable too. But is the hangers that you use. And we really advocate swapping hangers over to the thin velvet ones for most of our clothes. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about different types of hangers, but one of the things that you can do is to make your hangers look uniform and all have the same, because let's face it, most of us got a mishmash of metal hangers from the dry cleaners, hangers from the 60s from our grandma, padded ones, wooden ones of all different shapes and sizes, ones that we ran out and got from Tesco's for £2.50, some from the pound shop, kids hangers hanging. We have a mishmash of hangers in our wardrobe,
and the hangers from the shops itself as well. So
exactly,
when you go shopping, you get all your plastic and they say, "Oh, you want a hanger?" And you're like, "Yeah." I now say, "No, thank you." So that's step one. Don't take the hangers from the shops. But of course, I find wardrobes full of hangers from different shops, and that makes it looks really messy.
And to be fair, to do a hanger swap over is not a cheap exercise. To buy enough hangers, I would suggest doing it in stages. So to swap hangers over to velvet hangers, do it one wardrobe or one person at a time, because actually the amount of clothes that you have in your wardrobe can really mount up. So you might be having to buy 250 hangers. You'd be surprised how many clothes there are in your wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope everyone knows what we're talking about. You can get black, you can get pink, you can get beige, but they're kind of velvet and they're very streamlined. So as well as looking beautiful, they also are massive on space storage, and that's the key, really. There are so many people out there that are trying to kind of make it work with sort of bent wooden hangers that probably take up 3 times as much space as the velvet ones that we're advocating. I mean, I think we'll put some links. I mean, I get mine from Costco. I've got some. You can get them from B&M. You can get them from Dunelm, HomeSense, places like that. Or you can get them off Amazon, so they really are readily available. Some of them are not amazing. Some of them snap quite easily as well, so you have to be careful with the ones that you get. But if you want your wardrobe to start looking more uniform and tidy, and you've got a little bit of money to invest in it, I would absolutely recommend the velvet hangers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and they're good for a lot of clothing items as well. They work well for t-shirts. They work well for nice tops. They work well for trousers. There's lots of things that you can actually use them for.
Yeah, because then the beauty of them being velvet is that they're non-slip as well, so your clothes don't slip off them, which is great, isn't it, for all of those things?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ultimately, we can't use those velvet hangers for everything in our wardrobe. There are certain things that we need other types of hangers for.
Yeah.
So For skirts, you're going to need hangers with clips on for the most part. Even the velvet hangers, even if they've got those little skirts, I don't even know what they're called, but those little kind of things, little spaces for you to put your...
Yeah, the little dents in the top.
Yeah, the little dents. Yeah, they must have a name. If you know the name of them, please let us know, because we don't. Those little dents in the hangers. Sometimes they're good, but I don't find that the skirts go flat. They tend to bend and fold a little bit if you put them on there. So you're better off with skirts using clip hangers if you can. And I tend to use the wooden clip hangers because, again, they're all the same and they look quite nice, because those clip hangers are definitely the kind of ones that you end up picking up from shops, aren't they? Because a lot of people have not got enough. Wooden hangers are fantastic if you've got the space, and they're brilliant for jackets and coats and things like that, heavier things.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about woolens as well, but certain woolens I might put on a wooden hanger as well. And then obviously if you've got the really delicate stuff, then the padded hangers are great, the kind of satin ones. So that's where if you've got a silk blouse or something like that, those padded hangers really work well for those kind of things. So you might need different types of hangers in your wardrobe, but for the most part you can swap over to those velvet ones if you've got budget to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you about the wooden hangers, because I think they're really good if you've got a lot of suits. So if you've got trousers, and so especially for male suits, if they have to work a suit at work, if you want to have a combination of a trouser and a jacket, that's where I think a wooden hanger is really good as well. And also for heavier jackets and coats, you want to have a wooden hanger instead of a velvet one, because the velvet ones are then just too thin for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I talk about something that I absolutely hate?
Yes, of course.
Well, I hate metal hangers for a start. So the ones that I think dry cleaners now, to be fair, have mainly swapped over to plastic, haven't they? Hangers which are better. Or are you still seeing a lot of metal around?
Yeah. I'm still seeing. I don't dry clean very much at all, but it's still metal here. But a lot of what I also always recommend is to contact your dry cleaner and see if they want them back. So, so if we declutter the hangers, keep the metal ones apart, and then when you drop in new clothes to dry clean, also bring the hangers back.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. No, that's a really good point. So I don't like metal hangers. There's something else that I don't like as well, which is those sort of multi-hanging type things.
I know.
I absolutely. As soon as I see one of those in a wardrobe, it's kind of like my heckles rise up, and I'm like, they're just a complete waste of time and energy, because they don't save you any space whatsoever. You can't see the clothes on them at all. You just get this huge kind of triangle of trouser at the bottom of them. So do you understand what I'm talking about when I say you're with me, because I'm sure you've thrown loads of these away. But I'm like, but they sound like a great idea, don't they, if you're short on space? But they're absolutely not. They just serve, for me, no function whatsoever in a wardrobe.
I completely, because there's normally like 4 bars. And
exactly.
Hang 4 trousers. And I'm like, how are you going to get the second or third one out that you want to have? You're going to have to kind of put it flat, wiggle it out. Everything is going to be... I don't like... They should absolutely not be sold anymore.
But, maybe someone who's listening might love them and might see a purpose for them that we're not seeing. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I would always go for a single hanger and always only put one thing on one hanger. Yeah. There's also people who put a skirt underneath a shirt. And it's, it's really about accessibility as well. And you have to be able to see what's in your wardrobe, don't you? And if you've got a skirt kind of hiding underneath a blouse or a jumper, you're never ever going to be able to see it. Yeah. That's why but that's when people have probably run short on hangers at some point. But one thing is guaranteed, even if you're not doing the swap over to the new hangers, if you declutter, that's going to free up lots and lots of hangers, and then you'll be fine with that. Yeah,
the only time I actually have something under it is when it's a suit, when it's something that needs to be together. Of course. That's the only time. Or if it's a skirt with a jacket or a trouser with a jacket, then I put it together. But otherwise, I completely agree with you. It has to be on separate hangers, because that will also help you with your categorization. And that's, I think, very good intro into our next topic. It will help you with your categorization of your clothes. So let's move on from hangers, I think. Have we discussed everything we want with hangers?
I mean, you say that, but there is a couple, not that I'm really obsessed with hangers, but there are a couple more things that I'd like to say, if that's all right.
By all means.
Should we just call this the Hanger Podcast or whatever? We've got to go on to something else. But anyway, for now, so there's a couple other things that I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
Try, if you can, not to put adult clothes on kids' hangers. And I know that's often because you've run out of hangers when you're doing your ironing or something, but so often because it ruins your clothes. And equally, don't put, if you're a size 10, don't put things on those huge hangers that are for bigger sizes. You can kind of get, as clothes get bigger, the hanger sizes get bigger. So make sure. So it's surprising where hangers suddenly find their way into your home, and you've got all this mishmash of hangers. The other thing I wanted to say about hangers is definitely a hanger podcast. Is how do we get rid of them when we decide that we're going to swap things over or they're not fit for purpose anymore? Where do we send them? Well, we feel like it's a massive waste, don't we?
Yes. So I think there's two things that are important. I'm glad we're actually talking about hangers, Lesley, still. First of all, I think, like I said before, don't accept the hangers in the shops. So when you go out shopping, unless it's a really nice wooden hanger that will fit within your wardrobe, blah, 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 then by all means take it. But if they're the same plastic hangers from the different shops, and it can be a Marks and Spencer and Next or whatever, it doesn't matter, leave them there. Leave them in the shops. Don't even take them home if you are going to swap to a same streamlined looking hangers. So that's phase one. Also, if you're now decluttering and you need to make sure that your hangers go to the right place, metal ones can often go back to the dry cleaner. So that's a good way. Charity shops, unfortunately, do not want your plastic hangers or whatever hangers. They don't want them at all. So maybe you can use FreeCycle or Freegal, or do a shout out on your friends on Facebook or something if you feel horrible about throwing them away, because actually there's no really any other place than the tip or the bin.
It is. I know it is really harsh, isn't it? It's something that, because I tend to get rid of a lot of hangers at the end of a declutter because we've swapped things over, things like that. So yeah, FreeCycle's a really good idea, because there will be people that are setting up home that do need loads of hangers and things like that. And so, when you put something on FreeCycle or Freegal, which is just in case anybody doesn't know, it's the site where you can give things away basically to your people in your local vicinity. Things tend to go within 5 minutes. And so, use that option. Mm-hmm. And the metal hangers, of course, can go in the scrap metal recycling as well at the tip if your local dry cleaners won't take them. Yeah. Have we talked enough about hangers?
I know. Can we please move on to categories? Because that is something that I love, is categorizing things.
Okay. So, categorization then.
Yeah. So I don't know how about you, but I have kind of suits, and then trousers, and skirts, and then tops. And then I've got my long dresses in a separate wardrobe, because I've got a little bit of long hanging where my long dresses are. So that's kind of how I do it.
Yeah. I mean, so there's various, it's important to talk about the different sections that you've got within wardrobe. And I don't know what the actual terminology, but I would call mine long hanging. So long hanging for me is something that would take a maxi dress. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then you've got 3/4 hanging, which is something that would take a knee length dress or a coat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got half hanging, which is going to be trousers, skirts, tops, everything like that. So where your wardrobe kind of splits in two. Not all of us have got all of those, the possibility of all those. So we definitely have to work with the space that we've got. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've got a decent sized wardrobe for sure. And so I've got kind of 4 sections within my wardrobe. I hang everything, by the way, because I love my hangers, but I do hang everything because I've got space to do so. And I find that it's much easier for me, not everything, but most things. So I probably hang more than your average person, because I find that that's a really simple system for me to work with. Trousers and skirts go together. Jackets, fleeces, running tops, that kind of thing, kind of outerwear, jacket type things go together. Tops, t-shirts and jumpers go together. Obviously, I would fold heavier woolens that are going to get, kind of those weird hanger marks in the shoulders. But if it's a lightweight woolen, then I would hang it as well, because I love hanging. And then dresses and coats go in my 3/4 hanging. I've not got any long hanging at all. So for maxi dresses, I have to fold mine over the bar, if that makes sense. That's how I do mine. So I've not got any long hangings. That's what my wardrobe looks like. And everyone's wardrobe will look different depending on what their lifestyle is. You know what I mean? I don't have any real formal wear because I don't have a corporate job. I'm in my jeans when I'm working with someone. So I do have a different work wardrobe and different things that I wear, but for the most part, everything can be, for any purpose. And so I haven't got a clear delineation between work and casual wear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually do. So I have longer wearing, long hanging, because I have got some long summer dresses and I've got some formal wear. So I've got a small area where I kind of hang my longer things. And then I actually fold my trousers over the bar as well, because I don't have 3/4 hanging and I don't put them on the clip. So I fold them over the bar. So then they're the same length as my shirts. But it depends, listeners, on what kind of wardrobe you have and what kind of space you have. Have you got a lot of hanging space like Lesley, or not a lot like me, and you actually have to fold more? So you have to also work with what kind of space you have. And I think that's very important. And I want to point out one thing, because Lesley did something really important. She actually hangs some of her light woolens. I don't hang any of my woolens, even if it's thin or if it's thicker knitwear. I fold everything, and that's okay. But I think we both are agreed that if it's a heavier woolen top, definitely don't hang it, because you will get those marks in the shoulders and your fabric will stretch. And I think that's really bad for the quality of the clothes. So make a difference between the different kind of woolens, and then decide if you have space to hang it or if you need to fold it because you've got some shelving.
Yeah, one thing that I'd like to talk about actually in terms of sections in your wardrobe. I mean, one of my favourite jobs to do is if I'm lucky enough to work with a client who's building a wardrobe from scratch, and we can go to IKEA, or I can get involved in the design if it's from Sharp's Bedrooms or whatever. And so it's really working out exactly, if you are able to create a wardrobe from scratch, do your decluttering first and know exactly what you need, how much 3/4 hanging. So I really micro kind of measure out how many 3/4 hanging they need, how much long hanging they need, how much half hanging, and things like that. So if you've got the opportunity to do that, in the same way, if you were creating a kitchen from scratch and designing it, don't go with what the kitchen or wardrobe designer suggests, because what they'll suggest is things that are expensive in your wardrobe, more expensive things. And actually, for the most part, what you need is basic shelves, basic hanging space, and basic drawers, and not anything too fancy. So it's a bit one of my little bugbears, really, all this fancy gear in kind of wardrobes and stuff. And actually, we need to keep it really simple. But you need to declutter and know what you've got before you make that assessment. So if you are about to embark on a kind of IKEA trip to buy wardrobes, go with the right information in mind, knowing exactly what categories of clothes and how many that you've got. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. And I also think what we also should talk about in this episode is about winter wear and summer wear. And have you got different wardrobes for that? Or is everything, because for example, here in the UK, we've got kind of the same kind of climate year round. So there's a lot of clothes that people wear year round.
You mean a rubbish climate where it's not like beautiful.
I mean,
sunny.
I know.
I don't think it's the same climate all year round. I get where you're coming from. Yeah.
No, listen. If it's -2, people think we are in the Arctic winter here, which of course is not like, that's a bit frosty, right? So, but what I'm trying to say is
that you are wearing something different in January and August. We do have that, to be fair.
Yes, I know that's true. But there's a lot of clothes that we wear year round, because of course there might be a top that in the autumn and in the spring you wear with a cardigan. And other times you can wear without a cardigan, perhaps. I'm not completely, but so there's things you wear all the time. So you want to have that in your main wardrobe. So I've got clothes that I stay in the same place, and then I either have my summer section that comes in the summer with my short sleeved and my shorts and my summer jackets, and then when the time it comes autumn, that goes into my other bedroom where I've got a wardrobe as well, and then the winter stuff comes out with the more long sleeve tops so I need to swap it around because my wardrobe isn't big enough to hold everything.
And it might not, and that swapping around might not even be into another wardrobe. It might be into boxes. It might be into bags, the bed. It could be anything. So if you need to rotate your clothes because you really are short on space, then you need to sort of factor that in as well. I mean, quite often it's in the UK, it's not really summer and winter, but it's kind of more like holiday, like really hot when you go out of the UK kind of wear, isn't it? That's where shorts and camisole tops and things come in, and there might be a chance that you might be able to wear those in the UK. But yeah, I think our Aprils can be the same as our Octobers, is what you're saying, aren't they? Yes. Really, and then kind of we wear different, the same things quite regularly over here.
So basically, my point is, listeners, think about what kind of wardrobe you want to have. If you have a full-time job and 5 days a week you wear workwear, that's what you want to have in the wardrobe that you access every day, because that's your all the time wearing clothes. And you want to have maybe some of your gym wear then in another wardrobe, or stuff that you wear over the weekend. So it's not as easy as, let's just throw in a couple of clothes on nice hangers and we're there. You need to think about, how do I live my life? What do I do all the time? How can I make this easy for myself to have it organized in a way that makes sense to you?
Absolutely. And I think, we talk about these three things all the time when we're talking about decluttering anywhere in the home, really. Number one, accessibility is really, so that's what you've just spoken about, which is, things, you need the things closest to you that you're using all the time. Secondly is logic. So what is logical for you? And that might be very different depending on who you are and depending on your individual lifestyle. And then thirdly, it's compromise. And so if you've not got the desired perfect space that you want, the compromise is putting things under beds, putting things into different rooms and things like that. So always focus on accessibility, logic, and compromise.
Yeah. Beautifully rounded off this episode, Lesley, about organizing wardrobes. So listeners, what can you do to organize your wardrobe a bit more efficiently for you? Is it maybe that you do have to buy some new hangers and swap them over, or maybe think about what clothes go where in your home? So have a think about it and show us those before and after pictures on our Facebook group community. We'd love to see them. And we're excited that you've been listening today. Lesley, is there anything else you need to say before we're going to close this episode?
Just one thing, one final little nugget of information.
Yeah.
Don't micro-organise. So don't organise beyond organisation and create a system that you can't manage. So be realistic about what you can do and what you can manage. That's, the exact case in point for me is, despite what you might think of me as a professional orga, I am not a perfectionist. I'm all about getting things away and easy to access and so on, which is why I hang everything. So don't micro-organise, create a system that works well and is easy for you.
Well, that's it, listeners. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen today. And if you'd like to get more tips and advice, please follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and have, as we said before, a lovely Facebook group community where we chat about all things decluttering and organizing. We'd love to see you there. And if you don't want to miss the next weekly episode, subscribe to the Declutter Hub podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher, and it will pop into your notifications each Friday. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast. Check out declutterhub.com for more inspiration, and don't forget to tune in next week.